Hey all you cats and kittens and all you non-binary fittins, it's your boy DBiddles. Welcome back to the Brick Edition. Now for those not in the know, this is the spin-off to my award-winning video essay series, Chatbots, where I build Gundam models and talk about big, important things. You know, very insightful, very edifying, very important topics like why Gundams are cool. You know, the real issues. But here in the award-nominated video essay spin-off series, the Brick Edition, I instead assemble Brand X interlocking construction bricks and talk about a bunch of smaller, more casual topics like the importance of participating in the electoral process and how the underfunding of education sabotages the next generation, and how culture war talking points are dispersed and fomented by the ruling class as a means of keeping us divided and maintaining the hegemonic power structure of capitalism. You know, silly little things like that. Anyways, that's the deal, so now let's peel. One Piece is getting a second season! Hooray! Scripts have been written for that season! Hooray! They say we could have season 2 as soon as a year from now. Hooray! Only problem? The Hollywood strikes means we can't get started on anything until they're over. Bummer. Well, damn, I wish those lazy, entitled creeps would just hurry up and end the strike already. They're just being greedy by letting this continue for so long. Can't believe we can't get any new stuff, movies, TV, video games, etc. until this ends. What's that? I'm just being self-centered? Oh, sorry, perhaps I haven't made myself clear. When I'm referring to lazy, entitled creeps, I of course mean the various execs and shareholders who are getting fabulously wealthy off the backs of the various laborers who are striking. Obviously, I don't blame the wonderful and talented folk who work on various different levels to make the media I love, be they writers, actors, concept artists, costume designers, animators, voice actors, makeup artists, digital effects artists, developers, etc., etc. Shame on you, viewer, for assuming that I would ever side with the parasitic owning class who are exploiting my comrades for hundreds of millions, often even billions, in profit. You really don't know me at all.
Ugh, you feel bad for people like Tom Cruise and Kevin Hart and Scarlett Johansson who live in giant mansions and are richer than you could ever hope to be?
Well, not them specifically, you hypothetical contrarian cuntburger. Now, are those people quite privileged? Certainly. But compared to Bobby Kotick, or David Zaslav, or Reed Hastings, or Ted Sarandos, or Bob Iger? Man, that's like saying I shouldn't feel bad for the struggles of Abraham Van Helsing, because hey, he lives in a real nice house, and it's not easy being Dracula. Do you think that the only people who are involved in and are being underpaid for the making of, say, Avengers Infinity War are the Russo brothers and all the superhero actors? Because, buddy, there's a lot more than just Robert Downey and Josh Brolin at work here. There are people who have to build the sets, have to design the costumes, design the props, add in all the CGI effects, work the cameras, work the lights, work the mics, mix the audio, edit the footage, serve everyone lunch, clean the studio, so on and so forth. And there's more to just actors than the big-name actors. There's the stunt workers, who have very dangerous jobs, and the bit players, whose roles are less prominent, but no less important. Just because you can't pick out all the individual folks getting saved by Doctor Strange when the Black Order lands in New York, doesn't mean they weren't there doing their part, having to go through casting and costumes and makeup and rehearsal and however many takes were necessary to get the shot. I know it seems glamorous when you're looking at the life and times of Star-Lord actor and worst Chris Pratt, but there's a reason it cost them $400 million to make that movie. And when the takeaway is over $2 billion, then I'm sorry, but I feel like Disney can spare a few more coppers to the people doing the work, governor. I mean, if you want an example of that, let's look at the new season of Futurama, which is excellent, by the way. More shows should just periodically go away and then be brought back a few years later when their ideas are fresh. But anyways, when the new season was announced, John DiMaggio, the voice of fan favorite Bender, and also the actor behind Jake the Dog from Adventure Time, was initially holding out on returning because he demanded better pay for himself and his colleagues. And yeah, I'm sure he's doing alright compared to maybe you or I. After all, he gets to go to Comic-Con anytime he wants to for free. But he's not exactly Mr. Lifestyles of the Rich and the Famous, you know? Neither is Billy West, or Phil Lamar, or Katie Sagal, or Lauren Tom, or Tress MacNeille, or Maurice LaMarche, or David Herman, all of whom have to spend hours at a time in sweaty recording booths, often providing multiple voices for multiple roles, all of whom have to try to find work in between parts, all of whom are likely getting paid as little as the networks can get away with to maximize profit. And this is a show that's so good that it's been running on and off for over 20 years now, always getting uncancelled after being cancelled because it's so well liked and successful, i.e. profitable. We haven't gotten any more Firefly in all that time despite the demand, but Futurama has been a staple since 1999. I can think of loads more ways that John DiMaggio has positively impacted my and many other people's lives than, say, Roger Ailes or Rupert Murdoch ever has. And bringing this back to One Piece, thought I forgot about that, didn't ya? One Piece was the single most viewed original program in Netflix history, more so than heavy hitters like Wednesday and Stranger Things. And now that we have these mostly small-time talents who brought the company enormous profit, with more on the way, possibly 12 whole seasons worth, now that these small-time talents are holding out for a bigger slice of the pie, a slice they earned, a slice they deserve, a slice that Netflix could totally afford, now that they're holding out for that bigger slice, Netflix is suddenly coming across all coy with, "Oh, we can't afford it." Bullshit. Bullshit. I mean, come on, standard Netflix subscription without ads is like $16 a month now. But you know that there are plenty of people out there who spring for the $20 premium. But the bulk of Netflix's income is probably coming from the $7 a month basic plan subscribers, not because of the subscriber fees, but because of the ad sales. Ad revenue brings in a whole lot more money than any tier of subscriber fees. Now, if Netflix needs to cut some expenses, there's probably a few dead weight CEOs whose salaries could probably help make up the difference. After all, I don't see those guys having a whole lot of screen credits, so they're probably not doing too much. We could probably do the same with all those car manufacturing CEOs too, now that I'm thinking about it. Also, a shout out for the big dubs that the Writers Guild of America got for successfully negotiating a good contract. Way to go. Like that. Want to see more of that. And yet another big dub for Marvel Studios' digital effects department forming a union. That's also really cool. What else? Danny Masterson. Everybody's got a few favorite sitcoms. Most of them are all equally mid, but they're special because they connect with you personally. And that 70s show is one of the ones that I count among my special little cozy watches. Now, the accusations against Danny are pretty old at this point. 2018 was when the story first came out. I had actually kind of assumed that he'd already been to trial by now, but no, I guess we needed to wait 5 years for the wheels of justice to start fucking rolling. And it's a bummer, because it definitely puts a damper on my enjoyment of the show. Particularly with so many of his co-stars coming out to say, "Danny's a nice guy though," in the wake of his guilty verdict. And with everyone talking about Danny, some speculation has started about Ashton Kutcher and some past comments he's made about Hilary Duff and the Olsen twins when they weren't yet 18 at the time. Not to mention, he gave Mila Kunis her first kiss on the set of the show when she was 16 and he was 20. Though to be fair in that instance, that's not that big of an age gap, and she had lied about her age to get the part. and the two of them didn't get married until 17 years later. But beyond that, people are also now quick to remember Wilmer Valderrama's dalliances with Mandy Moore, Lindsay Lohan, and Demi Lovato when they were all pretty young. Lovato would even write a scathing song entitled 29, which is pretty strongly implied to be about Valderrama's illicit relationship with her when he was 29 and she was much younger than him. So, potentially look forward to the trials for those guys in the future. Again, I knew some of this stuff already, but it still sucks. More and more of people's old faves get exposed as problematic every day. Jonah Hill, Lizzo, Dave Chappelle, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, Ezra Miller, Bill Cosby, JonTron, Jonathan Majors, Justin Roiland, Warren Ellis, Joss Whedon, Kanye, James Franco, Ellen DeGeneres, Joe Rogan, Vic Mignogna, Roseanne Barr, Gina Carano, Jimmy Fallon, Kevin Spacey, Nobuhiro Watsuki, Scott Adams, J.K. Rowling, etc., etc., etc. I mean, you're still allowed to like their work, but your affection for them doesn't absolve them of their sins. And if you're conscious of that, those shitty things tend to stick in the back of your mind when you try to enjoy that work. It sucks that they're ruining their own shit for everybody else. Sometimes you even start to notice lots of little clues that you previously considered totally benign, or you just completely overlooked. And it just sucks. And if you're really thinking about it, you recognize how your disappointment doesn't even begin to compare to the hurt that the victims of these people had to experience. I don't know, I don't really have a point to this section other than, I guess, try not to be a creep and retroactively spoil your own work for everybody else, dipshit. It's just a bummer. Part of maturity, I guess, is recognizing that the people you idolized and looked up to are flawed and fucked up individuals. Which I don't think is a legitimate excuse for deliberately remaining ignorant about how the sausage is made. That's a whole chatbot video unto itself, but I think you have an obligation to be aware of problems with society so you can make more responsible decisions in your everyday life, and maybe contribute to a few of the solutions here and there. And I guess if I had some kind of takeaway for you folks at home who presumably aren't celebrities, it would be that you can enjoy these people's work, but you shouldn't form any kind of weird parasocial feelings for them. There are no heroes, so save your real genuine affection and forgiveness for the people who are actually in your life, and don't bother defending the people who don't actually have any connection to you. They can figure themselves out. Maybe losing their celebrity and becoming just another normal schlub is actually the best thing for them, both personally and as a form of restorative, rehabilitative justice. And, oh yeah, while I'm thinking about it, Russell Brand, yeah, isn't it interesting how Russell's cultivated this whole conspiracy-brained identity for himself of don't believe anything the media tells you until you checked with me, done your own research first. And now he's got this perfect go-to excuse for when he starts to see consequences for his alleged actions. You know, it kind of reminds me of a few other creeps who are talking a big game about how they're totally standing in the way of the DC swamp. The Matrix. The globalist agenda. The elitists. Whilst also being openly the most obviously guilty men ever. I wonder if I maybe have an upcoming episode about just such a thing. Look, innocent people don't need to rely on conspiracy to validate their innocence. The facts will just come out and do that for them. They don't need to rely on the whole, if I lost, it's only because you cheated idea. Plus, come on, man, what fucking truths is Russell fucking Brand, aka store brand Jared Leto, dropping on you that are just so earth-shattering that the man would try to silence him? What's he got? That wealthy and powerful people are evil and untrustworthy? Damn, so stunning and brave. Amazing. What a completely not obvious thing to say. In other news, scientists have determined that fire is hot. But now that he suckered you in with a few truths, here comes the bullshit. bullshit that's much harder to verify, but that appeals to people's polarized and partisan feelings. Oh, he's saying some wild shit about the pandemic too? Wow, so topical. Did he do that one after he mentioned that the moon landing was faked? Did he play that really topical one about the grassy knoll shooter? Surely I couldn't get these searing insights from just any old homeless schizophrenic or Facebook post from my uncle. Oh no, sir. Truly all the top 40 hits featured on Now That's What I Call Paranoia. Order now, only $19.95. But hurry, supplies are limited. You're really blowing my mind here, Russell. Truly brilliant. Wow, nowhere else can you get such amazing takes from such a relevant and talented and well-liked individual. Everyone totally remembers that amazing performance he gave as tertiary character number 1 from that astoundingly decent Judd Apatow film from a mere 15 years ago that they play on cable every other weekend. Oh, and I guess he's a recurring tertiary character in the Despicable Me films too. Good heavens, there's an animated film franchise that I'm simply delighted is still getting biannual sequels, I tell you what. Why, I'd simply be crestfallen if he could no longer perform in any more of those. It surely is no wonder that Big Brother is out to get him. He's just so damn smart and so damn popular and so damn clever at exposing all their biggest secrets in a way that few others have before. And obviously they're just threatened by him bringing all of the talking points from 4chan's poll forums to YouTube. That's why they have all those accusations against him dating back as far as 2006. And the mainstream media must have organized Russell's association with known child predator Jimmy Savile. That must be why they got to Danny Masterson too. Danny was too close to the truth. Damn, it's so obvious now that he couldn't have assaulted any women in televised talk show interviews, let alone in his private life. Obviously, since he said the thing about the media being bad, we should all just believe him. Fucking genius. But you know what, Russell? I'm actually going to take your advice and start questioning everything. Particularly wealthy and powerful people who have a wide reach and who might have good reasons to lie to people. Namely, either to take advantage of their audience or to cover up for their illicit crimes. Russell Brand is one such figure, wouldn't you know? This big, wealthy, shady figure is just trying to silence me because he's afraid of me exposing him, and now he's using his Hollywood connections to give me traffic tickets and make me busier at work so I don't have time to get closer to the truth. I mean, if I really wanted to take Russell's message to its logical extreme, I could just go ahead and be skeptical of everything and everyone. Can I really believe my doctor when he says these pills will help with my night terrors? Can I really believe this scientist when he says that global warming is real? Can I really believe the guy at the car repair shop when he tells me about all the things wrong with my car? Can I really believe my wife when she says that this kid is ours? Was I adopted? I can't trust my parents. Of course they'll lie to me. How do I know the world is round unless I can personally see it being round? I can't sit in chairs. They're all just going to break on me at inopportune times. The chairs are out to get me, don't you know? I talked about this in one of my other Brick Edition videos, but this sort of question everything, don't believe the evidence mentality is super dangerous. Particularly for the increasingly worryingly large number of people who are mentally ill and might not be diagnosed or treated, especially because it's never done in good faith based on any kind of substantial evidence, and in order to function, the most paranoid and delusional people out there just start picking and choosing what is fact and fiction in ways that disregard all evidence and simply adhere to bullshit explanations for presupposed conclusions. They never apply skepticism to the people telling them to be skeptical of everything, but they're unwaveringly skeptical of the people being skeptical of the first set of skeptics, because they just wanted to get to the conclusions they wanted in the first place. They just want to hate specific people and institutions, and they're so committed to that they'll take just any justification for it, even bullshit ones. They don't want the truth. They just want the fairy tales that affirm their worldview and adds excitement to their lives with some grand, elaborate sci-fi movie plot. They don't bother with critical thought. They just start selectively shaping facts and evidence to whatever thing they wanted to believe was true in the first place. If you believe that satanic lizard people are real and you don't really care about evidence, then your belief in satanic lizard people isn't affected by the lack of evidence for satanic lizard people, and you completely ignore any evidence that disproves satanic lizard people. And then you just start unquestioningly latching on to anyone who agrees with your thoughts on the lizard people. And odds are good, they're going to start yes-anding all your lizard people beliefs.
Yes, the lizard people are real, and they control all the world's electronic devices. They're based under Stonehenge. They put mind control chemicals in all the plant-based meat substitutes. They're responsible for that recent thing that happened that affected everyone on Earth. They need you to vote for Democrats so that they can channel your psychic energy into summoning Cthulhu, and you'll never guess which ethnic group they're using as their secret disguise to walk among us. Oh, you can't prove it? That's just what they want you to think. Do a Google search for lizard people and you'll find a whole bunch of blogs, evidence, talking about the lizard people. And then after reading a bunch of manifestos about them, surely you'll have no choice but to conclude that my theories are credible. Wake up, sheeple!
I guess in light of the allegations against Russell, all the most blatantly partisan and dishonest political hacks are coming out to defend him. Which is kind of how you know none of this is in good faith. The same people who stand up to cape for open and obvious bad actors, regardless of the mountains of damning evidence against him, are the same ones whose charitability just kind of instantly dries up whenever there's some spurious claim against someone who they view as a political adversary.
You mean like you do, DBiddles?
Oi, dickhead! If the evidence is reasonable, I believe it. If there isn't much reasonable evidence and there's a pretty obvious reason for why someone would make up lies, then you get the benefit of the doubt. I don't like that Danny Masterson is a creep. I like that 70s show and I liked his character in it. I don't know what his political opinions are and I don't much care. The evidence and testimony seemed bad, the court ruled he was guilty, so fuck you, thanks for playing. I don't particularly like Joe Biden, he wasn't in any movies or TV shows that I like, but I definitely prefer him to other alternatives. Do I think his son is guilty of bad shit? Not really, there isn't much convincing evidence of anything too heinous. He's just a fuck-up fail son. If they do find something serious, if that stupid laptop from hell that Tucker Carlson lost in the mail ever turns up with all the secret evil mastermind plans and terabytes of CP is ever revealed instead of the boring, lame, innocent laptop we found where Hunter just has pictures of himself with prostitutes, then fine, cool, whatever. Let's throw them in jail, let's put them up in the stocks in the village square, let's line up to fart in their faces and kick them in the junk, whatever. It'd suck, I don't want that to happen, but if it has to happen, whatever. That's what you do when someone does bad things. You don't just let them get away with it because you like the crazy shit they say on YouTube. Russell has his own controversial history even prior to his conspiracy turn and prior to this most recent set of accusations. The testimony sounds pretty reasonable and is backed up by corroborating witness reports, medical records, and even stuff we've seen him do on camera. And again, this stuff goes back decades at this point. It sounds like he's been getting away with shit for a while now.
Oh, so you're just gonna prejudge him because you think he's a creep? Well, that's hardly fair. What if he's found innocent in court? What about his reputation?
You really want to know what happens to poor Whittle Wussel if all those big meanie Hollywood and BBC types lose in court? Here's what happens. Russell goes back to his fancy home and his millions of dollars and cries on the internet to all his weirdo fans who then send him a bunch of money in super chats and buy all his shirts and coffee mugs or whatever it is he sells. If he has grounds for a defamation case, he can file that against whomever, and if that goes through, compensatory damages are issued. Either way, Russell is still richer and more popular than most people. The end.
Yeah, but he'd still have his good name and reputation ruined by all those feminists trying to smear him. I bet you'd probably still think he was guilty too.
Yeah, I probably would. And yeah, that sucks. Price of being famous, bitch. There's always going to be people who believe lies about you or who just don't like you for no good goddamn reason if you're famous. It happens literally all the goddamn time. There are still people who think Barack Obama was born in Kenya. There are people who still think Megan Fox is a stupid bimbo. There are people who still think Lindsay Ellis is a racist. There are people who still think Kelly Marie Tran did something unforgivable to Star Wars by acting in a not terribly good movie. There are people who still think Anita Sarkeesian slept her way into video game journalism. What a prestigious and totally worthwhile thing to trade sexual favors for, my guys. And that for this crime, Anita deserves to be forever harassed and threatened with violence. Do any of you fucking care? Those are injustices too, but somehow we all have to feel bad for Alex Jones or Andrew Tate, who are also plainly guilty and who are so openly unrepentant about it. Boo fucking who? People do this sort of shit all the time on the micro level in real life, and not just in Washington, D.C. or Hollywood. We all believe all kinds of fucked up, untrue things about each other. We all have people who dislike us for things that we may or may not deserve. It sucks. What do you want to do? Have parades where someone with a megaphone goes through town setting the record straight and ordering everyone to change their opinions of the wrong party or else face punishment in the form of fines? Sorry, Snowflake, you can't control how people perceive you. You want to avoid this shit? Just do your damnedest to give people as few reasons to hate you as possible. And when a few people inevitably do, hopefully you've done enough genuine good that there's still a few people who will know the truth and go to bat for you. Sorry that social media has made it all too easy for people to put themselves out there and be judged on a broader scale. Sorry that sensationalist disinformation spreads further and faster than factual information. Sorry that people are all predisposed to remember negativity more than positivity. Sorry there isn't a button we can push to fix it all. Sorry that the heinous crime of rape has been so thoroughly underreported, underbelieved, and underprosecuted for so long now due to complicated systemic injustices based on fucked up power dynamics, and that now in trying to make up for past failures that we might overcorrect and make a boo-boo here or there. But you have to attack the big fires first. That's just logic. I thought dudes were supposed to be predisposed to logic over emotion. Until the ratio of false assault allegations to actual legitimate assaults shifts in a big, meaningful way, until then, if you hear hoofbeats, you have to be on the lookout for horses and not zebras, you know what I mean? And in the meantime, if you want to do something about it, educate and instill values of compassion, honesty, equality, and generosity while being willing to hold people who are guilty accountable. The people you're actually mad at, or you should be mad at, are rapists, rape apologists, and rape culture. I'm sure actual rapists would love for a few more high-profile incidents of false rape accusations, because that'd be a perfect way to give themselves some optical cover when accusations come out against them. I know, a guy's worst fear is to be falsely accused of rape, but what do you suppose a woman's worst fear is? You really want to compare those pains? Anyways, I was going somewhere with this talking point about pundits that I mentioned a few minutes ago. Oh yeah, that's right, it's time to make fun of Jordan Peterson now. Apparently in defense of Russell, or in protest over his canceling, I guess old JP is calling for a boycott of Burger King? I only just barely heard about this, and I honestly only barely understand why. Something to do with Burger King pulling advertisements from Rumble or whatever, but like, does it even matter why? Who the actual fuck even cares about Burger King? Burger King is fucking atrocious. Okay, I'll admit to fancying their breakfast menu, but that's about it. So like, even if I was on the side of Incel Kermit and the Anti-Vax Guru, great band name that is, even if I cared about this stupid controversy, it's not like it's a great sacrifice being asked of me. What's next? Should we boycott Speedway roller dogs? Or Verner's ginger ale? Give me a fucking break, dog. This is such a pitiful display on behalf of JP, but honestly, I was looking for an excuse to make fun of him a little bit because he's just been batting 1,000 ever since joining the Daily Wire. Like, he's been a weird little troll ever since he got all hot and bothered over Canada's Bill C-16 and decided to make a career out of being a professional transphobe and being a manosphere influencer. But he just really seems like he's going through an ongoing supervillain origin story lately. He's got an extreme case of Twitter brain rot, he's being paid extremely well to be a climate change denialist, he's panicking over fetish porn, his daughter is off fucking around with Andrew Tate whenever she's not trying to ride her daddy's coattails, or else she's secretly trying to kill him with fucked up nutritional advice, he's having truly bizarre psychosexual dreams about his grandmother, He's getting his psychology license revoked after telling Twitter followers to unalive themselves, and on and on and on. The man's about 2 steps removed from unveiling his doomsday device and soliloquizing about how humanity has yet to recognize his genius. Up yours, woke moralists! We'll see who phrase-rays whom. And it kinda seems like he's actually leaning into this now. First, he got quietly referenced in recent Captain America comics where he was subtly compared to Red Skull. Then he started showing off a series of custom suits which would make Riddler and Two-Face jealous. And here most recently, he's apparently been making a bunch of posts on Twitter referencing/idolizing the Joker, which is, you know, a totally normal and healthy practice most commonly seen in very well-adjusted adolescent young men with perfectly functional social lives. And, alright, hands up, I've been there. The difference, though, was I was in high school at the time, The Dark Knight was the biggest movie in theaters at the time, and oh yeah, I wasn't purportedly an idol and surrogate father figure to thousands of impressionable young men. Get it together, JP. Matt Walsh is supposed to be the dangerous bad boy of the Daily Wire. Not you. You're Posh Spice. Ben Shapiro's Ginger Spice, Candace Owens' Baby Spice, and I guess that makes Michael Knowles' Sporty Spice? Apologies to Brett Cooper and Andrew Klavan. I'm sure you wanted to participate, but frankly, I only barely remembered you guys existed. Anyways, since we're on the topic of the Joker, let me just take a couple minutes here to air out a little personal grievance right before we go. Now, on a couple of occasions in the comics, the Joker has come face to face with another villain character who was a Nazi, and then has in turn called them out for being a terrible person, and has made a point of standing against Nazism in support of the good old US of A. Now this is in contrast to a few other times in the comics where he's been within spitting distance of other Nazi characters, such as the aptly named Captain Nazi and or Per Degaton, and he has said and done nothing in those instances. And because the Joker is such a popular and charismatic villain that a lot of people have a fondness for, I can see why a lot of people like to cite the former instances as reasons why Joker's not actually that bad, or not as bad as he could be. And they also like to cite his chaotic nature and total violent contempt for authority as a reason why he's just totally incompatible with authoritarianism. Which is all well and good, but I call bullshit. Now, I don't think Joker's consciously a bigot, and he is indeed too chaotic to be a principled, rigid authoritarian, but that doesn't preclude him from associating with Nazis. Because the fundamental principle behind Joker isn't some kind of rejection of your rules, man. It's just a gleeful and deliberate and all-consuming contempt with and disgust for other people. His only true motivation is causing hurt and suffering to anyone and everyone. Despite his speeches about the cruel, unpredictable nature of the universe and society, he doesn't actually care about any of that. He just gets off on murder, torture, and trolling. He's not a bigot because he doesn't play favorites with who he torments, though obviously he has a particular personal fondness for being a foil to Batman. And he's totally fine with authoritarianism if he's the one who gets to be in charge and inflict his mercurial whims on everyone around him. He actively manipulates the few people who willingly ally themselves with him, playing to their goals and their insecurities for a time, but he's all too happy to discard them whenever they cease to amuse him. Look at his relationship with Harley, look at his relationship with Punchline, look at his relationship with Lex, look at his relationship with other Batman villains. He only ever aligns with them for just so long as he can get what he wants, and then as soon as he's got an opportune moment to betray them, he totally fucking does. He likes fucking them over just as much as he likes fucking over anyone else. Do you really think he has some kind of secret patriotic side when his every waking thought is centered around bombings, bludgeonings, poison, and blood? Don't fucking kid yourself. Why the fuck would he? Those are just outlying incidents from a few of the many disparate writers of the thousands of contradictory comic stories trying to take a favorite villain of theirs and say, look, I know he's like the most evil living mass murdering costume psychopath without superpowers in our superhero universe, but at least he's not Hitler, alright? I'm actually gonna give Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns some credit here, because for all the criticism you can level at him and his portrayal of the Batman mythos, I think he accurately portrays Joker's response to Nazism. In both The Dark Knight Returns and the unfinished prequel All-Star Batman and Robin, Joker is found associating with a character named Butch, who is a blonde woman, implied to be trans or queer, with a flat-top haircut, camo pants, combat boots, no shirt, and swastika nipple pasties. Not much else is known about her, but we can confirm that she's a loyal hench to the Joker, who treats her about as well as he treats anybody loyal to him, and that she pretty clearly digs Nazism. And that pretty much says it all, really. If there are bitter, confused, misanthropic, hateful, violent, impressionable young people out there looking for a dangerous, unhinged, larger-than-life strongman figure to follow, it doesn't matter if that figure is or is not in actuality a Nazi, so long as the people who are Nazis assume that their goals align. And when these eager Aryan youth come lining up to follow this psycho, and said psycho is all too happy to entertain and enlist the aid of these gullible fascists, even if he has no interest in them personally or their ideals, and even if he's totally willing to throw them under the bus at a moment's notice, he's still aiding, abetting, and enabling Nazis. There's one moment from the comics that really perfectly captures the Joker in my mind, and it's from Batman issue 655. It opens en medias res with a duel between Joker and Batman having all but concluded. If you read the previous issues, you don't get any clues about why or how we got here, but the image and Joker's dialogue pretty much tell you everything. There's a bunch of kids dangling from Joker's helicopter in the background, and Joker's standing over an unconscious and bloodied Batman with a crowbar in his hands, as he exclaims,
I did it! I finally killed Batman! In front of a bunch of vulnerable disabled kids. Now get me Santa Claus!
And that's pretty much Joker in a nutshell. Even calling him a nihilist seems wrong. He's too manic and motivated and malicious. He wakes up in the morning and his every thought is just,
how can I fuck up someone's day today?
Do you really think that guy is going to take a principled stance against fascism or bigotry or unjust tyrannical hierarchies? Don't be fucking stupid. He's just the ultimate 4chan troll. He'll totally tolerate some Nazis if it means getting to fuck with people he dislikes and do whatever he wants. He probably doesn't particularly like Nazis, but he doesn't mind them and won't go out of his way to stop them. Which is honestly not too dissimilar from Jordan Peterson, frankly. Anyways, that's the wrap-up. Thanks for indulging me. Thanks for watching. Be sure to boost my engagement by clicking all the YouTube stuff down below. I'm DBiddles, and this has been The Brick Edition.